Hey there, this is Mr. Beat, and we are doing 2026 bingo cards. So when I say we, I have two special guests here today. I chose them for a specific reason. Well, really two reasons. First of all, the first reason is gosh dang it, open. I had the window, another window open playing the stream. I hate when that happens. Anyway, so I actually chose them for two reasons. First of all, I respect both of them tremendously. I respect the work they do and them as people. But the second reason is both of these YouTubers know a little bit about a lot because they cover a wide range of topics. And so I think you could say that kind of the same about myself. I try to cover as many things as possible on my channel. And so based on everything we've learned since we started making stuff, we're going to try to start making predictions of the coming year. So let's just go ahead and bring them out here. Come on out to the stage, everybody. How do I do this? Okay. Not that way. That's better.
That's better, yeah.
All right, let's start off with JJ. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the... In case I imagine most people know who you two are that watch my channel, but just in case we got some young folks here.
All right. Well, I'm JJ McCullough. I'm another YouTuber. I'm based in Vancouver. I make videos about like culture and, some political stuff, some historical stuff, that kind of general realm. Yeah, I feel like there is a lot of overlap between my stuff and your stuff, Matthew. So yeah, people that enjoy what you have to offer will probably enjoy what I have to offer.
Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, I'm Dave Farina. I run Professor Dave Explains, primarily science-themed content. Started out just kind of tutorial-based content, now doing a lot of debunking. Not a ton of overlap with Matt, except in the way of like certain, now I'm getting into like political figures like RFK as they interface with science. So I'm sure we'll be talking a bit about such figures today.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to both their channels, of course. The links are in the description. I imagine, again, that probably more than half of you already are subscribed. Speaking of which, we have one of my my viewers, Harrison. He said literally, we're his three favorite YouTubers. I don't know if he's just saying that, but thank you, Harrison. And he has a question for all three of us. I kind of already answered in the chat, but have any of you ever made a New Year's resolution that you actually stuck with? And what are your overall thoughts on New Year's resolutions? I'll start us off. I think New Year's resolutions are great. I think New Year's is honestly like one of my favorite holidays because it kind of forces everyone to just reflect on their life for once and maybe try to be better. And yes, I legit 2 years ago, this sounds like a humble brag, but I legit made a New Year's resolution to do push-ups every day. And I've done push-ups every day ever since, except for like, if I drank too many adult beverages the night before. But I've stuck with that New Year's resolution. So JJ, what do you think?
I don't know. I've never been a big fan of them. I suppose probably just because I fear the accountability of not living up to them for that reason. But I will say that one year I had a friend and he told me his New Year's resolution, which was to wear more colorful clothing. And I remember that always struck me as like, oh, that's a very good, very achievable New Year's resolution. So I do try to think about my clothes at the start of every new year, particularly in terms of like getting rid of stuff I don't want to wear anymore. And so like I guess that's a kind of resolution to kind of do an audit of my clothing and my wardrobe and, just really try to sort of pare it down a bit. So I don't know if that quite counts, but I've been pretty good at sort of keeping steady with that over the last few years.
I have so many just gray shirts like this.
I like that clean house. Yeah, I mean, almost every year I make the ultra cliche promise to like eat better and exercise more, and have varying degrees of commitment to that in any given year. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's explain what we're doing here. For those of you not aware of the bingo card about a year, it's basically you're trying to make predictions about the year to come. And yeah, we're at the end here of 2025, one of the best years ever. It was a bit rough, I would say, especially here in the United States. And I guess there's the part of the reason why I wanted to do this is because this entire year I consistently heard from people, "Oh, that wasn't on my 2025 bingo card." You know, like
Right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, like all of a sudden, like supporting causes that left-leaning causes, for example.
Mhm.
You know, it was a crazy year. There's a lot that happened that was unexpected, but also there's a YouTuber who I think has probably influenced all of us by the name of Hank Green, who did a 2025 bingo card, and he made a video about it at the end of 2024, and then he's going back and looking at how well he predicted things. And sure, a lot of his are kind of silly. And when I approached both of you to make a 2026 bingo card, you know, I was like, okay, let's maybe try to take this more seriously. Like, see if we can actually predict the future here. Because again, I want to stress to you that audience, listen to me. Are you listening? Like these two, they know a little bit about a lot. And I say that as a compliment. I mean, like it's that's one of the best parts, I think, of what we do is like, we can really like just let our curiosity drive our research, and like and in the process we learn a little bit about a lot. So I think based on everything we've learned, and you know, somebody earlier said we're kind of getting up there in age. I think someone actually called us middle-aged.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
so I feel like I'm entering middle age. It's fair.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, I think, of the three. But regardless, like, okay, maybe we should start like, yeah, let's do this. Let's just put it out there to the world. These are our predictions. And then I think it would be an awesome idea to come back in 1 year from now and like see what we got right, what we got wrong. And maybe keep doing it.
I wish you'd pitch it to me that way, because I regret to report that I did not take it seriously at all. And they're primarily jokes, but hopefully they're jokes that will lead into thought-provoking conversation. So
that's fine. Honestly, you have to also joke. I told JJ as well, like, they don't all have to be serious. Like,
yeah, I think I have 2 or 3 serious ones, but the others are jokes that stem from a serious place that maybe can spur some vigorous conversation. So
it'd be fine.
This makes me worry that mine are like far too serious now, and that they're going to.
No, that's good. You need to balance me out. No, that's
yeah,
because we need to laugh, but also talk about what is happening. So
yeah, we do need to laugh. Okay, so I'm going to reveal my bingo card first, right? Is that okay, or do you guys want to go first?
Yeah, let's see yours first, Matthew.
Okay, and I'm sure if in the chat, if you have a disagreement, which I can't imagine anyone would disagree with anything we're about to say. No one ever disagrees on the internet, but let us know. Okay, here we go. I just threw that thumbnail together. I'm sorry, guys. I just took it from recent videos that popped up on my feed, so I'm so sorry.
Good to me.
Okay. I like how contemplative I look.
All right. Okay, here we go. Here's my 2026 bingo card.
All right.
So starting out the upper left-hand corner, stagflation. That is not like a very insightful thing. I mean, in fact, we already kind of technically had a month of stagflation. For those who don't know what it means, it's like it's just a combination of high inflation mixed with a shrinking economy. Usually, the leading indicator of a shrinking economy is rising unemployment, and so I think those two that's like the worst possible combination in economics is stagflation, and I predict that's probably going to happen in 2026. Oh, what a boring start. Okay, next, war with Venezuela. Okay, it seems like that's the direction we're headed. When I say war with Venezuela, I don't mean every country is going to go with Venezuela. I'm talking about United States here.
What would that look like that would be different than what's already happening?
I think it would mean regime change.
Okay, but like, say if, like, what I'm saying is like, would there actually have to be a deeper military engagement? Like, say, would that involve like land troops, like bombing the Venezuelan mainland, like something like that?
I do think land troops are much more rare these days. You don't have to have troops on the ground anymore. So I just think more involvement within the borders. Like so far, it's just been at sea, international waters. So I think it would just mean some kind of escalation that's into their borders, basically, by the United States. That's what I predict.
Sure.
So good question, though. AI bubble pops, but it's not that bad. And this is another one that's like, not a hot take. A lot of people have this prediction, kind of boring. But my thing is, I don't think it's as big as bubble as people think it. Like, I don't think it's as big as bubble as the .com bubble, for example, that happened 25 years ago. I do think there's a lot of money to be made. I just think that, like there's a bit of too much optimism right now, which a lot of people also agree with. Blue wave midterms. I think that, the Democratic Party in the United States is going to have a very successful midterm election, based on just how the Republican Party has really just failed in every aspect over the past year. And I think it's not going to get better. And so I expect...
Do Republicans know that?
That's the thing. Like, they're so deep in their echo chambers. I don't even think they understand, like, which might be to the benefit of the Democrats. Like,
Trump is the smartest, healthiest, best president ever, and youngest of all time.
Yeah, it's kind of mind blowing how some people are so insulated. They don't understand that, like, no, there's a lot of people suffering right now and upset. Okay. AI slop completely takes over platforms. A lot of folks think it's bad now. No, it's going to get much, much worse. In fact, I think it's going to be so bad that this is related to another one I put down here, but people are just going to start leaving all these platforms because the AI slop has taken over.
That's what I was going to say, is that there has to be an inevitable reaction to that, and just like a frustration, like just people going, you know what, I'm done with the oversaturation, and just, I don't know what that will look like.
Keep chiming in, guys. I like this because it also gives me a break to take a drink. Okay, next row, under the B column, everyone becomes a hipster. And what I mean by this is, I think the thrift store trend, which of course started by Macklemore back in 2011. Sorry, that's really bad. No, I think a lot of people are just going to be shopping more at thrift stores. Thrift stores are already kind of doing much better than they were. I just think this trend's going to get much more dramatic. And
so what you mean is everyone is going to become poor, I think is what you mean to say.
Oh yeah, well,
the poverty line will envelop us all.
I'm just wondering how we objectively determine at this time next year if that actually happened or not, Matthew. Like, what is the what would meet the standard of everyone becoming a hipster?
Well, they all look like you, JJ. No, I was kidding.
Okay.
Except with
to me, a hipster implies certain things about taste beyond fashion. Like, I identify as a hipster, and to me, that just means I have really good taste in things like like beer and food and music and film and stuff. And I don't see the masses catching up with that stuff.
It's not just poverty. Like, I took a lot of pride recently. I bought a shirt for $1 that was like, this had been like a $50 shirt at one point. And I had a lot of pride, and it looks cool. And I feel like, I feel cool wearing it. I'm probably not, but regardless, like, it's also, I think it's not just the fact that, we don't have much money. It's going to force people to be more creative with the decisions they make when they buy something. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I think, they're going to have better taste. So
what if it goes the other way and it's just like a sci-fi film where everyone has the exact same jumpsuit? And
it could go that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. A major merger of streaming services. I think this is also not a hot take. I think a lot of people predict that there will be, we've already seen some mergers happening, but it's going to be two of the biggest ones combining. I don't know which ones. I didn't get that bold. Solar power doubles. So something that I think a lot of folks don't understand is that it doesn't matter that the United States has put a pause on renewable energy. It doesn't matter that the United States has gotten rid of a lot of subsidies and almost like put punitive damages on certain companies for investing in renewable energies. I think that the rest of the world is realizing, not only is it good for the planet, but we're making a lot of money. I think China is the best example of this. Mm-hmm. And so solar power, and it just keeps getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah. We're at the point where it's a benefit for the consumer. It's cheaper than paying for electricity.
Yep, and and I'm a little biased on this one. We recently got solar panels on our house, so but I was astounded by how much the prices had already dropped since I first started looking into it a couple of years ago. So
yeah, I got panels as well like 2 years ago, and I find that the monthly payment ends up being roughly equivalent to what I would have spent on the electricity bill. Honestly, even slightly lower, and I'm adding $50,000 worth of value to the house. So it's
it
kind
was
of a
wild.
no-brainer.
I was just in California visiting my parents in Palm Springs, and it was interesting. I mean, obviously California is super sunny, but it's interesting, like just descending on the plane and you just see all the houses seeing how many solar panels just normal middle class suburban homes have now, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, you save money. It's a no-brainer. Just and I think they rescinded the tax credit, but I got in under the wire. I got the like a third of the value of the panels were a tax credit, so I just got a ton of money off of my taxes last year.
Yeah, we got in right before the deadline of the tax credit as well. But it doesn't even matter. That's what I was thinking. Is like it's projected just to keep going down more and more. So, okay, next one: chain movie theaters close across the country. But I think that movie theaters are never going to go away, especially the indies. It reminds me of like record stores. I think there's going to always be like that desire for a lot of people to hang out with their friends at a theater to watch a movie they're really excited to see, or they already have seen before just on a big screen. Like I recently with my family saw Elf on the big screen. Oh, yeah. I think it cost us $2 to get in. And so I do want to stress, like, movie theaters are never going away, but I do think that we're going to start to see, like, because related to this, I think Hollywood in general is imploding. There's just, now that AI content is kind of chipping away at a lot of things, everybody's affected. And especially if you spend $300 million on one movie, that's just not going to be much of a thing anymore.
So you think like AMC theaters will go the way of like Tower Records or something?
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's going to start happening next year.
But I think another big problem is that, I mean, this might just be me being a cynical middle-aged asshole, but don't movies kind of all suck now?
Most of them.
That was a big take I've heard a lot. I heard that a lot, like, because I've been listening to all these like year in review podcasts and articles and things, and a lot of people said that like 2025 was like a really bad year for movies, like that there was just not many good movies, a lot of box office flops, and even a lot of the movies that we think of as being, quote unquote successful, like say, I don't know, One Battle After Another or whatever, actually did quite poorly. So yeah, you might be onto something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I just watched One Battle After Another last night, and dang, that's a good freaking movie. I highly recommend that movie.
I liked it too, but
there's still good stuff coming out. Like, it's just that, a lot of it's coming straight to streaming anymore. They're not even messing with theaters. It's crazy times. Okay. Where did I leave off here? Okay. Americans become more united. Oh, that's kind of a hot take. Yeah. Okay. So my whole hypothesis here is that I think, honestly, and some people are going to laugh at me, make fun of me. I don't care. But I think part of the catalyst for this is the Epstein Files release. I'm finding, like, I mean, I do interact a lot online with Trump supporters, or at least people that say they're Trump supporters, because I'm fascinated by these people. I am very fascinated. And a lot of them just don't seem to be buying the bull crap anymore. And also a lot of them are talking like, they're talking like people that lean to the left. They're saying a lot of the same things that people that lean to the left were saying back in, Occupy Wall Street days, like 15 years ago. I know some people say it's the horseshoe theory, which I have issues with. I'm not going to go into that now, but I think that just a lot of people are going to unite generally on class issues, and they're just finally going to give up on the culture war stuff. They're not going to focus on that as much.
Yeah. There's only how many years can people freak out about trans people? Yeah. It's like I think Trump is biting too much from the hand that feeds him, right? He's got that base, and if he just keeps taking from them, they'll eventually turn on him. So
what would be a metric, Matthew, that you would use to determine this? I'm always thinking about the metrics, because I'm
you are.
how would we quantify if you were right or wrong? So is there like some sort of like poll question that you might look at or something like that?
I think approval polls actually are underrated on these type of things. Not so much like approval of candidates, but just the vibe checks that people have. Like, how do you feel the direction of this particular thing is going? Or, yeah, we'll see a lot of it also at the related to the blue wave midterms. I don't necessarily think, though, that I think that a lot of different type of Democrats are going to get elected. When I say different type, I mean they're going to portray themselves as anti-establishment, or we've already started to see this trend. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much I buy that, though. I mean, it depends on the candidate, obviously, but
yeah. I think if Trump's approval numbers were like really, really bad, like I don't know, like in the 20s or something, then I think that would be a pretty good metric that like, the country was kind of like united in opposition to him, as opposed to, the line that we always hear, which is that it's very polarized, right? I think just partisan stuff like that could be a good indicator.
I mean, I think like Mamdani is a perfect representation of like what the Democratic Party could be and what it should be trying to be in order to, like, Mamdani got this little wave of a thing going, and I just think that Democrats are idiots if they don't capitalize on that and like amplify that energy by reinforcing his policies and talking points and like putting forth more candidates like him. But it just speaks to what the Democratic Party is, like what percentage of it is captured by corporate wealth, whether it's half or 90%, or I don't even know. But it's just, I feel like in terms of the blue wave midterms and stuff like that, just the Democrats keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again of putting forward candidates that we don't want, right? They're just not representative of us, where they could be sweeping everything by just putting forward who we would. It doesn't even have to be Bernie, it just has to be somebody that's like even moderately aligned with public opinion and, the things that we want. And
yeah, I know. Right. Okay. I'm going to try to go quicker here. So I'm really anxious to see your guys's. Plus I know you've been peeking ahead. More governments embrace Bitcoin. So over on the B column, third one down, I just think that it's already become a much more legitimate form of currency. Most cryptocurrencies, though, in my opinion, are not legitimate and they're kind of scammy. But I think Bitcoin is kind of the exception because it was the OG. And so I feel like that it's not necessarily going to be big countries. We're not talking about the EU or anything, or even United States, even though the United States is a kind of a little bit here and there, like embraced it. But I just think we're going to see that happen in smaller countries around the world. Trump has another stroke. I think he possibly had a stroke already. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that. I do think his health is going to continue to be a big concern as he turns 80.
Yeah. I think that he is just going to completely deteriorate physically in front of our eyes, and it'll be maybe the funniest thing that we have all ever seen. Just not sure how long it's going to take and what it'll look like, but it looks to be going that way. So
I think his 80th birthday will definitely be a big sort of turning point, because there's something just symbolic about it. I mean, I even felt that when Biden turned 80, right? Like there's something about an 80-year-old president that just, I think, strikes a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a point where Trump will be the oldest president ever, right?
Yes.
How old was Biden when he left office?
How old was he?
82?
82? Oh, okay. So if he completes
81?
his term, he will officially be the oldest president ever.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's 82 now. I don't know. I should know this. Yeah. So I do think, he's not a healthy man. Although I think he will be around for a lot longer than people want. I think he'll be kicking for a while.
They'll put his brain in the body of he'll be like Krang, and he'll just be like, keep the movement alive.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reference there. I love it. Yeah. Okay. Gen Alpha rebels against digital media. I think that
I like that.
Yeah. Like my youngest daughter's technically Gen Alpha, and she's grown up already with digital stuff, but I feel like there's going to be a point where they're bored and they're like, actually it's more rebellious just to like touch grass and get offline. And not have any account. Like if they do have a digital kind of identity, it would be like on obscure stuff or strictly. Well, I mean, Discord might be the exception because Discord kind of one foot in both worlds. Like I feel like a lot of kids view Discord as not really part of the rest of the internet because it's so enclosed, kind of dark foresty. But
I mean, it's kind of inevitable because the era in which something becomes popular is inextricably linked to that generation. So even people as old as us look at Facebook as ridiculous and just like, well, even though it is kind of our generation, like the older generation like took to it and we make fun of them for it. That's how young kids today are going to look at Instagram and TikTok, I think. Probably.
Yeah. And they see the damage it does with they see like maybe they have older siblings or parents that struggle with the addiction to scrolling on these apps that kind of like watching your alcoholic parent or parent.
Right. And then that
makes
you not want to drink. Yeah. I don't know. My kid is obsessed with vinyl records. So it's like,
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. JJ, did you want to say anything?
I'm maybe not super optimistic about that one. I feel like it seems more likely to me that Gen Alpha will just create some new social media thing that they'll get obsessed with. Like they'll think TikTok is lame. That's for Zoomers. We're going to make, TikTok 2, which is even more brain rotty. And that's going to be the Gen Alpha thing.
Because you swipe this way, not up and down. You go like that.
I just think like the trend lines do indicate that Gen Alpha, they've been on sort of the cutting edge of, the skibbity toilet brain rot and the Italian brain rot things. And like, they've given a lot of reasons to be pessimistic about their ability to withdraw from all of this, I would say. But,
fair enough.
Well, that's because they're under 11 years old. I mean, we'll see what happens when they grow up. I think the next 10 years will be more revealing than the previous few years. Can't judge a generation by, like, imagine judging millennials based on what we were doing when we were 10 years old.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Really bad hurricane season. So I think we were lucky this year with hurricanes. I think the pendulum will come back next year. That's my prediction.
And wildfires again as well, probably.
Did I put that one on? Yeah, that's related, but sure, why not? We'll throw that on the same one. Measles cases triple. I specifically said triple because if you look at the trends, I think a lot of people freaking out right now, but I was like, there's just no way this does not get much worse.
Yeah.
A
lot hinges on Florida. If Florida vaccine mandates for school children does successfully get repealed, and then if that inspires other states to follow suit, could be a domino effect that would forget triple. We're talking about an order of magnitude, like just way more, and not just measles, other stuff too, whooping cough, diphtheria. I don't know. I don't know what.
I just saw else. People are not taking they're not getting tetanus shots anymore.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Yeah, Hep B as well. Yeah, everything. A lot of liver failure in the future for our children.
Okay, so on a lighter note, emo makes a comeback. It's been about 20 years since emo kind of peaked, in my view, and I think we're kind of overdue. Like, we saw a revival of like ska in the 90s. We saw a revival of like garage rock in the 2000s, and I just think there could be this little revival where we've for the last 10 years we've had like artists that whispered when they were singing, and so I think that
I don't think emo ever went away. I think it's been there. There's a festival in Las Vegas every year that has every emo band ever, and it's massively huge. Tens of thousands of people go. I think it's been there.
Wow.
Maybe in your world, Professor Dave.
I was in Vegas for a conference, and I noted there was a festival going on at the same time, and then I like checked back, and I was, this is every year, and it's just like My Chemical Romance and all that stuff, and all those bands are there, and it's just so many people. It's a massive event, so I think it's alive and well, emo.
But are they our age or are they younger?
I think that it skews to our age group, but there's young people for sure. I didn't go, so I can't tell you exactly the breakdown, but I'm pretty sure. I forget what the festival is called, but if you look it up, Las Vegas Emo Festival, you'll find it.
Matthew, are you predicting that there's going to be new emo bands that are going to take America by storm? Or is it just going to be a retro thing?
Well, both.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I do think there'll be younger bands that kind of have that the same sound and aesthetic as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one is not really a hot take either. EV sales skyrocket. I think so. Here in the United States, sales actually went down by 1% this past year, but everywhere else in the world, they went up by like 23%. And I feel like a big reason why the EV sales went down in the United States was because, well, the tax benefit went away. A lot of Americans were incentivized to buy one because they got tax money back. And with that gone, of course, they're not going to buy one. But now I think that because demand is going down in the United States, that even in the United States, because prices are finally going to go down on EVs, that they will still continue to pick up. And I just think there's no going back for EVs.
It depends what happens with the price of gas if that keeps going up. It's been stable for about a year, but if it starts to climb back up, I think that'll push things.
Yeah, it's been pretty cheap.
If you're including China as well, I mean, they're so all in on EVs too.
Yeah,
right.
I'm talking global.
Yeah,
and especially like developing countries, like I know that in Thailand and Malaysia, Vietnam, those. I mean, I don't even call those developing countries, I guess, anymore. They're like very well developed, and like something out of 3 out of every 4 new cars there now are EVs sold. So I don't think we're going back. I do think internal combustion engines will be around forever. There always will be that group that insists that they're better, kind of like I'm never giving up my vinyl record for this MP3 player. But yeah. Okay. Next one, G column. A new nonpartisan political movement starts.
This is like your perennial cause, Matthew. It's always
I'm really just
like a third party, or
well, it doesn't have to be. I think it's going to revolve around some kind of issue or 2 or 3, but there's some kind of like third. It doesn't have to be a political party. It's just a movement, kind of like there was a populist movement in the 1880s in the United States, some kind of, or even like in the 90s, you had a reform party, but really it was more about a movement that was just against kind of just an outside movement. And I think, again, I keep going back to the Epstein files. I think the Epstein files are a big deal. I think it doesn't even matter if not much comes out of them. I just think it kind of demonstrates, to me, it's like similar to the Pentagon Papers or Watergate, or this time where we saw just a dramatic increase in everybody not trusting the government, no matter who was in power. And so I think that it's going to be related to that, just the fact that, there's it doesn't matter what political party you're in, you don't have our interests in mind. Okay, next one. YouTube surpasses Netflix in paid subscribers. Actually, I just read this yesterday or the day before. Apparently, more people are already watching YouTube compared to Netflix, and Netflix now views YouTube as like their main competitor, which kind of blew my mind. Did you guys know this?
That's crazy.
Yeah, there was a thing
I didn't, but I believe it.
There was a thing I just bought the Time magazine, the Man of the Year issue. And it has an interview with the CEO of YouTube in it, and they talk about this as well. Yeah.
Especially since so many more people are watching YouTube on their TV versus personal device. So next one, which I love, Twitter shuts down.
Twitter shuts down.
Maybe for good, but at least temporarily is my prediction. I think that it's unsustainable. It has been for a long time. It's not making any money.
That's incredible. It's a cesspool, and I hope you're right. What would prompt that? Just the lack of profitability, or what?
I think that's related, but I think incompetence at some point. There's gonna be some kind of probably hackers will get in and do something. I just don't think it seems like it's the most vulnerable of all of the major platforms.
Yeah.
To me.
I mean, I think I'm a little skeptical just because I think Elon is so rich that I think whatever unprofitable problems it has are pretty minor. And I think versus like the the benefit he gets from it as a kind of right-wing propaganda machine, amplifying the kind of voices that he wants to see amplified. I think from his perspective, he wouldn't perceive this as a problem. And I think he would probably perceive shutting it down as the greater sort of crime.
Right. There's a reason he overpaid for it. It's not about profit for him. It's about manipulating public discourse.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
I also love that. I love this movement of most of us refusing to call it X. I will never call it anything but Twitter. Let's all please keep doing that. I'm sure he hates it. It's called Twitter. End of story.
Yeah.
All right, next one. I do think that there will be more assassinations. I hate to say this, but just looking at past eras, part of the 2020s to me feels like the 1960s, and it doesn't necessarily have to be political figures, just anybody who has influence. What are your thoughts on that one?
I don't know. I mean, I thought that like Charlie Kirk's assassination was like shocking because it was so out of the blue. It wasn't just kind of like ho hum, another one of these, right? Like it was the biggest political sort of assassination since the 1960s. And yeah, I suppose you could sort of say, is it like a harbinger of things to come? Or is it merely just like a freakish outlier that, you know, was notable because it was so unusual? I mean, like, I feel like independent of Charlie Kirk's assassination, we haven't really been seeing sort of comparable things.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, we're due for extreme political upheaval, at least compared to anything since the 60s. And with that, probably assassinations are inevitable. So I don't know who, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong.
Well,
Okay,
depends who, right? I don't know.
yeah, obesity rates dramatically decline, and of course, I think this is related to the medications that are out there now that can help you lose weight. Ozempic is the most famous, but there's a bunch of them on the market, and they're becoming more affordable. And I just think that this is the beginning. I think obesity maybe peaked this year in American history. That's my prediction, a bold prediction that we will never see obesity rates as high as we have this past year.
That plus RFK and, you know, beef tallow and stuff and everything he's doing, that's going to help a lot too.
That's interesting to think about, that like there could be a decline in obesity, but not an increase in overall health. Like that people could be less fat, but still have really bad diets. I think that would be a sort of like interesting combination.
Yeah, because fast food's not going away.
Yeah, if anything, people losing weight will greenlight their poor diets. I don't know. I'm still like, I don't know too much about Ozempic, but I just like, I'm aware of like very negative side effects, osteoporosis and things like that. I'm just kind of waiting to see what else the medical community comes up with over the next 10 years or 20 years. If they are granted the funding to do so, you know, we'll see.
Tierzoo is here. Hey,
Tierzoo.
Tierzoo. GLP peptide drugs are such a huge W. Yeah, no, I think that there's a net positive. Sure, there's side effects with basically everything, but yeah, that is an important thing because yeah, we're in the early stages of this still, as far as like the sample size.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wrap this up here. I think there will be a cyber terrorism incident. It could be big.
Cyber terrorism.
So some kind of situation where hackers from a foreign country, it doesn't even necessarily have to happen in the United States. It could be another country, but where you have either the infrastructure, internet infrastructure, or grid infrastructure that is overtaken by terrorists, essentially. I just think we're overdue for that. So I probably would make that same prediction last year too, to be honest. And then finally, a robot restaurant trend. I think that this is going to be something that a lot of people go out and do for fun. Every major city will have some kind of robot restaurant finally open up. They've already popped up in certain places around the world, but
like
essentially
Japan and stuff, right? Or,
yeah. So you still have some workers in the back, but as far as like the main floor of the restaurant, all the servers are robots.
Oh, like
Yeah.
the waiters. I thought you meant more like just kind of like you press some buttons and like food arrives in like a conveyor belt or something like that.
Oh no, I mean like it's kind of more gimmicky where
Mhm.
yeah, like robot
Robot
waiters.
servers. Okay.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
even have robot chefs. I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen
Pretty
those too.
wild.
There's not necessarily I think that profitable yet, but
Right.
I think the gimmick part of it is going to kind of maybe be the something.
Way into it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I was at
Okay.
I was at a place in England where they had like little robots that served you. They were not like walking robots. They were just like machines that were like on wheels, and they would and then the food would come out of like a little tray. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, those have been around for a few years already. So anyway,
So do you want me to go next, Matthew? Since David's are like fun, they might be a good
palate cleanser at the
line.
end.
Yeah.
okay, there you
Sure.
go. That works. And are you able to share your screen? Okay,
Can I just like text it to you and then you can just put it up?
that's fine.
Okay. Let me just do this.
Is it a JPEG or PDF?
It is a JPEG, so I will just send it to you right now.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
While we're waiting on him, thanks for the super chats. Hey, Tom, good to see you. Oh, JJ, you're one of his favorite YouTubers as well.
Oh, awesome. Okay, Matthew, I just sent it to you.
Okay.
Mine is not formatted as nicely as yours, Matthew. It's more vertical than horizontal, so it might be a little harder to read. So we'll have to.
We'll see how this looks when I upload it.
Okay.
I'll just email mine to you as well. Why not?
Oh,
I have
I have to save it as a PDF.
I have a PDF.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for some reason,
Are you having trouble?
StreamYard doesn't let you upload JPEG, so I'm just going to convert it as a. Oh, did you send me another one, JJ?
Well, I sent you one where it's just horizontal and one where it's vertical. Whatever.
Oh, okay. Let me try that one. Sorry.
Yours were good, Matthew. I would say overall, I think that you have some very measurable things that I'm keen to see if we will actually get a bingo or two. Definitely, like some of them will happen.
I was gonna say because some of them were not that, like duh. I played it a little safe,
It's good to have a mix of you'll see with mine. I tried to have some where I was sticking my neck out a bit, and then I tried to have some where it was just conventional wisdom. I don't know. I have a feeling that like 2026 might be a more conventional wisdom year. Like might just be a year where we just kind of the trends that we've seen this year just kind of continue. Okay, so here's my card, everybody. My 2026 bingo. All right, so I guess I'll just go through it like Matthew did. So my first one is JD and Usha split up, which is something that some people have sort of contemplated. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories about this and that kind of thing, which is basically that like as JD Vance tries to consolidate his image as the heir apparent to Donald Trump, he is of course reaching out to every sort of odious subculture within the kind of MAGA sphere. And one thing that he's realized, and that some of his haters have been keen to remind him of, is that his mixed race family is sort of seen as a liability to a kind of, ethno-nationalist kind of set. And so there has been some sort of like gossip. It's like, oh, is Vance so cynical that he would dump his wife in order to make himself more politically palatable to the white nationalist crowd? But then I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and they said, like, well, it's also possible Usha could just get tired of being in a relationship with a guy like this, and so maybe she would dump him. So that's why I put that they just split up. It's I wouldn't say it's like a done deal, but again, this is like me sticking my neck out a little bit and hedging my bets, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
There's something to be said for the possibility that the powers that be would not allow that to happen if it would be seen as a stain on him, right? You don't think Melania wants to get out of there and hasn't been wanting to get out of there for a very, very long time? Wow. She is trapped. So she might be too, but I don't know. I have no idea.
All right. Next one. Sorry?
I said help in my Melania voice.
Help. Yeah. Okay. My next one I feel like is a somewhat safer bet. The Supreme Court rules against Trump on tariffs. I feel like this is kind of like quite widely anticipated now among sort of legal observers that that the tariffs that Trump has imposed upon so much of the world are based on a very dubious read of executive authority, and the Supreme Court, for all of its sort of partisan leanings, will probably, rule against him on that one. So, and that the tariffs might survive through some other means, but I think that this would be a way for the Supreme Court to assert its independence and also just do something principled. Next one is similar to what Matthew said about war with Venezuela, although I'm kind of narrowing the scope a little bit. I'm just saying that President Maduro will flee Venezuela at some point and seek exile in Russia, which I think feels like a natural place for him to wind up. And and then that will give the Trump administration a W as far as the regime change goals go.
So we both agree there will be a regime change. Regime change in Venezuela, yeah.
I'm just being a bit more specific because I think it's also possible that Maduro just flees in order to avoid war. And so I'm just hedging my bets that way.
It's amazing to me how he's held on to power as long as he has.
Yeah.
He's extremely unpopular.
Okay, so next one I have is Scott Bessent is made the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the Treasury Secretary currently. Trump gets to appoint a new head of the Federal Reserve in 2026. And, there's been some speculation that Bessent might be in the running. It's obviously going to be somebody that Trump trusts in a way that the current guy, Powell, does not have Trump's trust. So I think it's going to be somebody within the loyal inner circle. It might be someone even stupider. I think Bessent is kind of like, that's the optimist expectation. It could just be a complete MAGA lunatic, but
he's one of the smarter ones, actually, which is not saying a lot. But
next one is an AI one. So I said full-length AI movie goes viral. I'm sure that there probably already have been full-length AI movies made, but I think this will be one where it'll be like a phenomenon. It won't necessarily be a good movie, but people will know about it. It'll be sort of infamous and notorious, and it will sort of symbolize what AI is capable of doing.
It'll be the first passable, this qualifies as a movie.
Yeah. It won't just be complete nonsense. It will be coherent. People will have a lot of complaints about it in various ways, but it'll meet the standard of, okay, AI can make a whole movie now. So, okay. Next one on the second line. This one is a little bit more out there as well.
Wow.
Pro-Trump coup in Greenland.
That's a hot take.
The Greenlanders have been pretty insistent that they don't want to join America. There seems to be a very broad cross-party consensus in Greenland that they're not interested in this cockamamie idea. The Prime Minister of Greenland has repeatedly said that he's used this as a non-starter. So I was thinking well, what if Trump, who has really been sort of banging the drum again in recent weeks, I thought that this was maybe something that he'd forgotten about, but he's bringing it up. He just appointed the governor of Louisiana to be his special envoy to Greenland. So I'm like, okay, well, what if there's just a coup? What if they just bring to power some wacko in Greenland and he's like, yes, annexation, that's what I want. So I think that I'm only sort of sticking my neck out on that one because I think that unless something very dramatic happens within the Greenland sort of political scene, this idea is not going anywhere. So if Trump really wants it, he'd have to regime change Greenland, I think.
What would Denmark do in response?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess oppose it, write a sternly worded letter. I mean, I don't think that they would invade Greenland to reinstall the democratically elected government. I think they'd probably just let it slide. I don't know. That's a good question, though. Okay. Next one is Trump proposes the Trump Amendment. And what this means is that, I think in the last few weeks and months, we've seen Trump really trying to speed run a legacy, right? Renaming things after himself, putting himself on coins and all of this. And one thing that, I think he probably will get into his mind is that successful presidents have amended the Constitution. And I think that he'll want to have a constitutional amendment of his own. And that's why I'm saying it's just going to be called the Trump Amendment. I don't think it's necessarily going to be something as self-serving as the third term thing. I think it will just be probably some just kind of blandly generic kind of conservative cause, flag burning or a balanced budget amendment or something like that. But he'll call it the Trump Amendment, and there'll be a lot of fanfare about how this is something that President Trump wants.
He just likes his name on stuff. That's it.
Precisely.
Trump Kennedy Center. Give me a break, man.
I mean, even though this
unbelievable.
amendments have nothing to do with the president. It's
Yes.
the state legislatures and the Congress. But anyway, yeah, he doesn't know this probably.
No, he just wants to, because like it's like this kind of thinking that he wants his legacy to be unreversible on some level. And I think like you see that with like the tearing up the East Wing of the White House and that kind of stuff, like stuff that if a Democrat gets in, they can't just snap their fingers and undo. And I think like a Trump amendment would be a real sort of monument to the permanence of his legacy. Okay. Next one is Hegseth replaced by Driscoll. I don't know much about this. Driscoll is currently the Secretary of the Army. He's a young guy who's like very into the same kind of like freakish right-wing politics that JD Vance is. And they're considered like really close buddies, Driscoll and Vance. And Hegseth, who's a real sort of Trump buddy, I think I've heard some rumors that there's a bit of a sort of power struggle there. And Hegseth's kind of incompetence, and as well, Hegseth's just kind of, general sort of bloodthirsty belligerence, I think offends the kind of the Vance hyper-isolationistic wing of the party, or at least of the administration. And so I do think that this could be a flex of Vance's growing power if Hegseth gets booted out and this ally of Vance's, Driscoll, gets put in instead as Secretary of War. So
I don't know anything about Driscoll, but is he just another post-liberal basically like Vance?
Yeah. He's of that sort of flavor. And he's a young guy,
Yeah.
like he's I think in his late 30s or so. So yeah, he's been like within the kind of the defense establishment, he has been the guy sort of pushing the kind of the Vance sort of like Europe is our real enemy and like let's not talk about Russia and this kind of thing. So I think that's something that I'm keeping my eye on. That would be a very bad development. I mean, as much as I do not like Hegseth, I also don't like Vance's kind of growing power. So I'm keeping my eye on that. Next one, I have Barron Trump does podcast. Barron Trump feels like he's been a kind of quiet figure. And I feel like he's also biding his time until he sort of makes his sort of grand debut into the MAGA cinematic universe.
Mhm.
And so I could see him doing a big interview on like Rogan or something that will be like his official coming out as a person that we all have now heard of. I think a lot of people have heard his voice before.
We haven't heard him talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know Trump's granddaughter has a pretty thriving YouTube channel. So
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah. So,
Donald Trump Jr.'s daughter. She's actually pretty charismatic. So that's the thing though. Like if you don't got the Riz, it's really difficult. I don't know if Barron has the Riz.
yeah.
I don't have the Riz, and I somehow got 1 million. So we'll see.
I got the next one is another Supreme Court ruling. SCOTUS rules against Trump on the 14th Amendment, the birthright citizenship thing. I think that's another one. So like, Trump did his executive order on day one, sort of saying that birthright citizenship is hereby repealed. And I think this is another one where it's like, as partisan as the Supreme Court is, this is like pretty cut and dry, like that the 14th Amendment says what it means. And that I think it would be pretty shocking if they found that the executive branch can unilaterally repeal the citizenship of children born in the U.S. So
It's
they've
just
already
insane.
They've already had oral arguments of this. They've already, right?
yeah,
I'm not going crazy, am I?
I think So it's working its way. The from what I understand, the ruling could be quite soon. So
They may not. They will probably push it back to June, I think, on this one, just because. Like I noticed they're calculated on what they release. If they have one that Trump doesn't like, I noticed they kind of spread them out.
Oh yeah.
They want to give Trump some wins and then sprinkle in some like actual Constitution interpretations with that. So
yeah, definitely. Like the tariff thing coupled with this, those are two one big punches against the Trump agenda. So you're right. Like perhaps they'll have to give him some little wins in between just to placate his feelings. Yeah.
he just had a big loss with the the Supreme Court ruled against him with the National Guard being allowed to be deployed to cities.
That's true. Well, who knows? Maybe 2026 will be a year in which there's like a narrative about like the Supreme Court strikes back, like the checks and balances are back, something like that. We'll read
It's so sad that we have to talk about the president of the United States like a petulant preteen Like, oh, just like give him a win and then we'll do the real thing and then we'll let him
Yeah.
win another thing, like he's playing a board game or something. Like, it's so sad that this is our world now.
All right. Next one I have is sort of something near and dear to my heart as a Canadian. The USMCA treaty being torn up. I think that would be a very bad thing. Well, depending on how it plays out. But, you know, talks between Carney and Trump have came to an abrupt end when Trump was offended by an advertisement that the government of Ontario put on TV. And there has been no sort of resumption of the negotiations over trade between Canada and the US since then. There's supposed to begin a formal process of renegotiating the USMCA treaty in 2026. But I could see a scenario in which Trump just says, no, it's done forever. We're not going back to that. The reason why I think that could be good just from a Canadian perspective is I do think that opens the door to a bilateral Canada-US trade negotiation that doesn't involve Mexico. And, you know, for a lot of complicated sort of reasons, I think that that might actually be a better deal for Canada just because, you know, the issues that America or that Trump's America has with Mexico are not really Canada's problems. So, you know, as much as that might not be great for Mexico, if I'm thinking from a self-interested Canadian perspective, that might be okay. So, but I could just definitely see a scenario in which Trump just flamboyantly says that the era of, you know, USMCA, which is the successor to NAFTA, is just done, and we're going to only do unilateral deals or maybe no deals at all. Maybe Canada and Mexico will just forever be in the same tariff mire as all these other countries. So
I hope not.
I hope not either. All right. Next one, also kind of a bleak one. Deportation camp set up in Africa. I think that the administration, as it continues to deport people, will be looking for new places to dump them now, especially now that the El Salvadorian gulag has sort of become this very contentious thing. So I think that there might be, and I think like some European countries already do this. I think Great Britain does this. They dump people in like Rwanda. You know, some of these African countries, for reasons I don't totally understand, are willing to accept refugees from just random parts of the world, I guess to curry favor with rich Western nations. So
Jeez.
I could see stories about American immigrants being deported to Africa becoming a thing in 2026.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Messed up, man.
It is messed up, but you know, this is the world we're in now, unfortunately. Okay, this one is a little bit another Canadian story that's a bit lighter. Is there's probably going to be a referendum on Alberta separating from Canada in 2026.
Are you serious? What?
Yeah, but it's so dumb because, you know, I made a whole video about this. Like, this is not a serious project at all. This is like a weird kind of like partisan thing, in the same way that, like, you know, like how there's a certain type of Texan who's very right wing and sort of says we could go it alone and we could separate and blah, blah, blah. There's a certain kind of Albertan, a very small minority of right wing Albertan who does a similar posture, and they've apparently gotten enough signatures to put this on the ballot. So there will be a referendum, but I predict that this will lose in a colossal landslide, and this will be seen as like a very stupid, silly thing. That
is Alberta like the Alabama of Canada, or what is that?
It is. It's a very conservative part of Canada. Like it always like votes overwhelmingly for the Conservative Party and that kind of thing. And yeah, and the fact that the Liberal Party that Carney got in when it looked like it was going to be a conservative landslide, sort of really, I think, radicalized a small but vocal minority who have then put this question on the ballot. Again, like it's just mostly a sort of symbolic partisan thing that nobody's going to actually seriously contemplate.
Fun fact, my parents emigrated to Edmonton, Alberta when they left Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. And then they came to the US.
Then they came to upstate New York, yeah.
Sort of like Ted Cruz's family.
Sure. Yeah, my dad he raves about it and says Canada was so beautiful. I haven't been to Alberta. I've been to Vancouver and Toronto and stuff. But.
Well, you've been to the good parts. Edmonton, like I can sympathize with wanting to leave. So.
I have to see Banff apparently. So
Banff is great.
I'll put that on the list at some point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next one, I have Nick Fuentes speaks at CPAC. I feel like that would be a real sort of symbolic moment of Nicholas Fuentes' sort of gradual sort of acceptance as just like a normal right-wing Republican pundit. I think that would be grim and horrible, but I feel like the normalization track for him is sort of chugging along, and so to have a like open neo-Nazi speaking at CPAC, wouldn't.
I would not be shocked at all. No.
Yeah, it's sad to say I would not be shocked either. I am shocked that you called him Nicholas, though, even though you always say full names for everyone. Nicholas Fuentes.
Nicholas. He used to call himself Nicholas J. Fuentes. That used to be his branding, but then now he's Nick to be a bit more casual, I guess. All right,
Nicky.
next one's a kind of dark one. So I have Trump boycotts Biden's state funeral. So, which is to say that if Biden dies in 2026, which is possible, he has a very serious form of cancer. I could see like Trump just refusing to go to his funeral. I could see Trump saying very cruel and mean and gross things about him when he dies, and then he won't go to the funeral, and this will be a big sort of controversy and all the rest of it. And then, of course, the MAGA people will say, well, Biden said lots of mean things about Trump, so blah, 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 blah. But I
mean, I obviously he would not go. I guess I'm just disappointed that would be the big scandal, other than all of the heinous shit that he does that actually hurts people.
Yeah. But, I mean,
typical.
It can be many things, right? But next one is Erica Kirk put in cabinet. The widow Erica Kirk seems to be a little ambitious. Whatever, we all grieve differently. But I could see her rising star culminating in some sort of government job, especially because I think Trump seems to have some sort of sense that she's a good one to be allied with, particularly as sort of the right wing is cracking up in these different ways.
Yeah, to hang on to that turning point coalition kind of. I just wonder what, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of money she'd be leaving if she did that. I feel like it would take a lot for her to leave Turning Point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money there.
All right. Next one is another international one. I have Sir Keir Starmer of the UK resigning. He seems to be he is like already like the least popular prime minister in like British history, which seems to reflect something about British cynicism, like just how quickly they just run through their prime ministers now and just convince themselves that this is the worst man who's ever had the job, or woman in some cases. So, and he's getting a lot of bad press right now with something to do with the repatriation of some controversial Muslim immigrant. I don't really know the story that well, but yeah, his numbers are bad. He seems to be unpopular. He's getting flack from all sides. So yeah, maybe he'll resign and they'll get yet another new British prime minister in short order. Next one, I have the Nobel Prize will go to a US-led team, but not to Trump, which is to say I could see a situation in which the Nobel Peace Prize goes to people who were involved in negotiating the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, but it will not go to Trump. It will instead go to, the sort of the second tier kind of figures, like the professional diplomats and that one guy that Trump always has doing the diplomacy. I forget his name now. And maybe even Jared Kushner, and maybe some Israeli and Palestinian negotiators as well, but not Trump. And Trump will, of course, be very inflamed because he will say, this was my deal. I did it all. Where's my Nobel Peace Prize?
Yes. But, me brokering no peace actually whatsoever is my achievement.
Yes.
But he ended 8 wars. Come on.
No, sure.
Yeah. All right. Next one I have, Trump suggests just printing money. I could see this becoming a thing. Like, in order to deal with the economic sort of troubles, Trump just starts to normalize like the classic kind of like 5-year-old solution to problems.
Yeah, why hasn't anyone thought of this?
Yeah, why would you printing money? Why should you print more money, give more money to people, and this kind of thing. That'll solve all the problems. That feels to me like something very in character.
Yeah, that's like an SNL sketch that like would actually happen. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have on the bottom row, I have Justice Thomas. Clarence Thomas retires before the midterms.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. As the oldest conservative judge on the Supreme Court, I could see a scenario in which, if the Democrats seem poised to get the Senate, if that even seems a remote possibility, that he should step down and not allow the possibility of a sort of Ruth Bader Ginsburg type scenario to happen, in which he would be in danger of dying in a Democrat administration, if the conservatives or if the Republicans have a chance to just quickly install a new young conservative on the court.
The only thing about Clarence Thomas is, if he does stick out the rest of Trump's term, he could be the Supreme Court justice who's there longer than anyone else. He's
in
already
history?
like the 5th longest tenure. I just looked it up, and he's
Oh, really?
so 2 more years he would actually beat the record for longest
Oh, really?
serving Supreme Court justice.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. That is a bit of a wrinkle then. All right. Next one I have is another sort of Canadian one. This might not mean much to you guys, but Prime Minister Carney gets a majority government of 3 or more. So as it stands right now, Prime Minister Carney does not yet control a majority of seats in the Canadian Parliament. He is just 1 seat away, though. And he's been doing all sorts of like, shenanigans, well, so-called, to get that majority, convincing people to cross the aisle and convert from being conservatives to liberals and things like this. And so there's been a lot of sort of speculation as to whether or not, like, Carney is now sort of really getting sort of portrayed in the Canadian media as a kind of like very sort of like House of Cards kind of character.
Really?
Yeah, like just somebody who's like very good at like the kind of like the dark arts of politics. And so it wouldn't surprise me if he somehow manages to convert like a couple more politicians, or somehow he manages to get a couple more votes in the parliament on his side. So,
well, momentum's on his side anyway. So yeah, this is the time. Momentum's on his side anyway.
Yeah. So we'll see. That's me sticking my neck out in a sort of Canadian kind of way. Okay, next one. Trump sincerely proposes putting himself on Mount Rushmore. Again, something that I think we could imagine, even though
didn't he already say that?
He's sort of said it in passing in a kind of jokey way.
Right.
But this is me like he's saying it
joking.
in the way like, pardon me?
I don't think he was joking. I think he's like, let's do it.
Yeah, well, this would be then like taking it to the next level.
Actually
like,
trying to like implement.
Yeah, there's like a committee to plan for it, and he starts unveiling like the blueprints and this kind of
Can
stuff,
you
right?
imagine? Oh my God.
Okay. Next one is kind of like something on your list, Matthew. It's just new dance sweeps the nation. Don't know what that means, but there'll be some sort of dance. It's viral.
Whatever you can do on TikTok without moving at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I honestly, we're kind of overdue for one. Also, just like overdue for a few other things I've noticed.
David, sorry, I called you the wrong name. Netanyahu. Okay, last one is Netanyahu loses the election but gets a pardon.
He gets a pardon by Israeli government.
Israel, yeah.
The new president of Israel, yeah.
Yeah, so like Netanyahu is like formally asked for a pardon from the Israeli president, which is an unusual thing to happen in their political system, from what I understand. The Israeli president is like this meaningless figurehead who never does anything. He cuts the ribbon at the new Walmart and that kind of stuff. But I could see, I mean, I don't know that much about Israeli politics, so I'm, again, sticking my neck out here. But like, I could see some sort of situation in which he loses power, and then because he's this like super divisive figure and yada, 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 that the Israeli president is like, oh, he deserves a pardon just to put the Netanyahu chapter behind us, and so we don't subject him to court cases, because he's in a lot of legal trouble right now. And during his prime ministership, he's repeatedly had to testify at court and yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. That's just me thinking that could be a kind of like anticlimactic end to the Netanyahu regime. A lot of people want there to be a more kind of definitive end, but I feel like a lot of times these kinds of
public execution.
Well, or that he would like go to prison, like for something, right? Whereas I think that a lot of times in politics, things end in a kind of like weird and anticlimactic way, in which there's not like a true moment of justice. So
yeah, no, I'm not under any delusions that he will ever get what he deserves. That's not going to happen.
Well, Bolsonaro got sent to prison, so you just never know.
That's true.
Of course, Brazilians are a little bit different. Okay, I'm uploading right now your bingo card. Anything else you want to say about JJ's bingo card before we put?
Good stuff. Yeah, no, it's probably the most tethered to reality.
Most of these seem perfectly reasonable to me. All right. If you're just joining us, we have been looking at, for the first time, showing each other our 2026 bingo cards. We did not show each other these ahead of time. We wanted to come in cold and be surprised. And so far, there's been a little bit of overlap, but not much. JJ and I gave more serious predictions, and these are going to be a little bit more lighthearted. Dave says, but here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I do apologize. I did not take this seriously at all, but I think that we will. It reminds me of the first time I did Secret Santa with my band, The Lonely Wild. I had only done Secret Santa with gag gifts, like on my college swim team and stuff. And they all came and had like legitimate gifts for each other. And I was like, oh, I got like a Snuggie or something. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I didn't know we were doing this for real. That's how I feel right now. But I think it's going to be fun. And actually, looking back, some of these are like in line with some of the things we said, just in joke format. Okay, so Trump says the N-word during State of the Union. Or something similarly offensive, and just tries to shake it off. I think that'd be fun. Ben Franklin replaced with Sydney Sweeney on the $100 bill. She's very popular right now with white supremacists, so I could see that going that way instead of Trump. 1,000 plus child measles deaths, so not just tripling. We're going big here. RFK will have a lot to say about it. He will blame Froyo or some similar junk food. That is the culprit for autism as well, right? Froyo gives you measles and also autism. I think it will be the case. Trump appoints a flat earther as the head of NASA.
That's weirdly plausible.
Yeah, I don't know who it would be. I guess it would be, what's his name? Mark Sargent was probably the most like presentable, I'd say.
I mean, flat earthers are they really still around?
Like a lot of like just like hardcore evangelical Christians are flat earthers, right?
It's kind of split. There's the biblical literalists, and then there's just the conspiracy theorists on steroids that aren't even particularly religious. It's not a gigantic community. It's probably 5,000 to 10,000 strong in the whole world. But they're there.
You took out most of them, Dave. I think you handled a lot of them.
I am proud / embarrassed to say that I'm the most famous flat Earth debunker probably on the internet. But yeah, I've made quite a lot of money off of that cult, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah,
made a lot of money off their stupidity, huh?
Yes. This next one is serious. Chris Nolan's Odyssey is surprisingly terrible. I saw the preview. I'm obsessed with Greek mythology, loved the Odyssey, was excited about the idea, very skeptical that anybody could do the Odyssey in one feature film. I don't care how long it is. Saw the trailer, not into it. I don't think that it will be good. Have you guys seen the trailer? Any thoughts here?
I've seen a lot of people dunking on the trailer, a lot of the real hardcore history nerds, because it feels like it's a very precious property.
Yes, exactly.
Very high expectations of, right? So
yeah, it's like Dune. Like I was obsessed with Dune, and then the new the new Dune movies come out, and I'm like, this is cool, but it's not Dune. Like we're missing all of the psychedelia. Like it's just not there. But I don't shit on the Dune movies because they're pretty cool. But I just feel like Odyssey's not going to be good. And also Matt Damon, like, would it kill you to try to do an English accent? It doesn't make sense that everybody has British accents and he has an American accent. It doesn't make any sense. Like, just like, you're a professional actor. Can't you just do a British accent? Like, come on, man. It's just, it's an insult. Like,
this was a family-friendly channel until your bingo card went up, Dave.
Oh, what did I don't have any naughty words on here.
The Diddy one, the next one.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, Diddy breaks out of prison and promptly slaps a bitch. Did you guys watch the Diddy 4-part miniseries thing on Netflix or whatever it is?
We watched the first episode.
Watch the other ones. Good Lord. I mean, not only the depravity, but like it seems like he basically got Tupac killed and is basically responsible for Biggie getting killed as well, on top of the rape and domestic abuse and everything. Bananas. I don't know. Yeah, I can't believe he only got 50 months. It's incredible.
I could see him getting pardoned by Trump, not breaking out of prison. Like Trump has sort of mused about that in the past, that we're going to look very seriously at this one and that kind of stuff.
He mentioned Diddy personally, that case.
Well, somebody asked him about it. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think because Trump doesn't really know what's going on. Like he's like, I've met Diddy before. He seemed nice. So
he's like, I like criminals. I like rapists.
The sense that like anybody famous could never be guilty of anything.
Sure.
Right. Like,
it's an insulation for him. Yeah. Okay. Bill Clinton caught squatting at Epstein Island. I haven't heard from Bill in a while. He's been pretty quiet. I don't know where he is. He had some good times there. So maybe he'll just kind of pop up there.
Well, his
Holding
spokesperson
refuge.
did say to release all the files unredacted, so that's worth noting.
Okay, we'll see, Bill. We'll see. Terrence Howard starts an institute for kids who can't math good. I think kids need need to step up their math game, and Terrence is just the guy to do it. We talked about Barron Trump. I agree that he will kind of make his public appearance. He will become known to the public. I said it is in the way of a sex tape. I agree. It's more likely that he'll show up on Rogan or what's that other comic with the long hair?
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
Which one?
Theo Vaughn.
Oh yeah, Theo Vaughn. Yeah, I bet I'll go on Theo Vaughn. But it could also be the case that a sex tape comes out. This guy is tall, and the ladies love the tall guys. So I think I don't know what'll happen there. The next one is serious. Way more fake aliens psyop shit. So way more UAP stuff. Way more of like what Avi Loeb has been popularizing, which is just absolute fraudulence to the core. That cult around the UAP stuff is so strong and so toxic, and it is not going away. It's definitely going to keep going.
Wait,
So-
could you elaborate more on that? Because I don't know much about it.
I mean, so there's two, like I stick more to the science stuff, not really like the political conspiracy stuff. So I've debunked Avi Loeb, who's this Harvard astrophysicist who for 8 years or so has just been putting out a bunch, like a never ending fountain of bullshit of just like that comet is aliens, this comet is aliens, and we need to look into it, and we need to start this new organization, government, give me $1 billion and I'll look for aliens and everything. And it's a bunch of horse shit. Like it's all fake. So I've been debunking him, and then there's a lot of overlap with the UAP community. Everybody who's obsessed with all the UFO stuff, the footage, and the government having actual congressional hearings about it instead of like taking other things seriously. And it is a rapidly growing cult.
Wow.
So yeah, I've done the Avi Loeb stuff. I did 2 videos on him, but I haven't tackled the UAP cult yet, and it's kind of on my list for 20. There's these cults, like I finally started dunking on the pseudo-archaeology cult, and it's such a toxic beehive. It's why I had been avoiding it for so long, but I finally cracked it open, and now I'm going down the list of them. UAP is another one where I just avoid it because it's just like such a festering swamp of a cult that as soon as you start doing it, you just get all of the toxicity and the hatred and the trolling, and it's just like, all right, I guess I'm gonna crack this one open. So I don't know, maybe at some point in 2026 I'll start tackling that one, but yeah. Next up, the darkness surrounds and envelops us all until we yearn for sweet death.
That's
Believe
kind of
that
vague.
one.
Yeah, that's already playing out, so that's fine. Melania has an affair with Mark Ruffalo. It's the kind eyes, he's got very kind eyes. I think that she would like that.
Yeah.
AI generated, this is not even that, like we were saying, AI generated sitcom wins daytime Emmy for outstanding lead actor. It's just a more comedic way of saying what you said. Just something AI generated will be viewed as semi-legitimate for the first time. And we'll have to
I just
contend with
don't
that.
see that ever happening. You have the commercial world and you have the
Yeah.
critical world, and I just think that the snobs will just never. Sure, a lot of this AI generated stuff will become very popular, very
Well,
mainstream.
I'm joking about the Emmy. Obviously, it's not going to be ever recognized by the industry that is being consumed whole
Yeah,
by the.
But
they
I
will
mean,
never-
like just in general, like, will you think there'll be actual like, oh yes, this is snobs coming around to it saying this is actually high art. I mean, do you think
Yep.
that will happen?
Well, that I think also will happen, just not next year. I think that'll happen in the next 10 years, that AI will make art that's genuinely better than what we can make. Maybe 10, maybe 30. I don't know when, but it feels inevitable.
There's
that
so much
it'll-
taboo to admit that, though. I think that what would have to happen is that I think maybe at some point they'll create like the AI awards or something that will be all
Sure.
funded by the AI industry, and it will give itself endless praise and compliments.
Separate
and will be marginalize
category.
the critical establishment.
Yeah,
That
all the
seems
bot accounts will be.
Yeah.
plotting. Elon Musk is revealed to be an actual robot. So I wanted to say something about Elon, and I just couldn't think of anything to make fun of him about other than that he feels like a robot. But yeah, we'll see. We talked about Twitter. I think that would be funny if Twitter just kind of implodes in his face, but Yeah, here's to hoping. Second coming of Christ, but he is a trans Filipino influencer on TikTok. So he will not get much traction with the Christians. That would be ironic. Yeah, he just gets ignored. That'd be
Or
fine.
change their minds by changing all of the water into wine and multiplying the loaves of bread and fishes.
And changing all the peni into vaginae and just blowing everyone's mind about the malleability of the sex and gender spectra.
maybe it just makes Christianity seem woke and lame, and then all of the right wingers just become
Muslim?
pagans or Muslims or something.
Yeah, or yeah, just pagans. Yeah. We start celebrating Saturnalia instead of. Okay, Trump makes doing science just illegal in general. It's just not allowed. You cannot. You can't not only there's no funding for it, like literally zero, but just if you do it, you go to jail right away. That's it. One Stranger Things kid will OD on something.
Oh,
Not
gosh.
sure which one. That's mostly a joke, but you never know. Smallpox comes back real hard, and typhoid as well.
That's
yeah,
not
I
a
mean,
joke.
yeah,
Is that possible? Like, as a science guy, I don't know enough about this kind of thing.
I want to say smallpox. No,
Uh-huh.
I want to say that is truly eradicated, and that there are not enough smallpox virions in circulating to be able to do that. But I don't know, man. It could be the case where there's like one smallpox case somewhere in the world and everybody starts freaking out. And we're just like, oh my God, please don't let this happen. But yeah, just as we were saying, communicable diseases in general will be on the rise, and deaths from them. That's 100% guaranteed. Netanyahu eats a Palestinian baby on live television, like fork and knife. It'll be like the Seinfeld episode with the candy bar, and he's just chowing away. And but it's cool because the baby was an anti-Semite, so it's not a problem. It's absolutely cool for him to have done that.
I'm getting so many texts from Mrs. Beat right now saying you should have looked at Dave's bingo card before he put this on the screen.
You know me, man.
Just so that's not going to actually happen. Everyone, calm down.
Almost none of these things will happen. Maybe 4 of these things will happen. Next up, Joe Rogan finally apologizes for existing. That's a long shot, but we can hope. We can hope. RFK encourages Americans to crack open skulls and feast on the goo inside.
I get that one.
Simpsons reference here, yeah. I mean, that's just in general. RFK is absolutely insane, and everything he says is insane. And I hope that he will go away forever at some point. Next up, Trump tries to nuke a hurricane. That's not even that much of a joke, because he literally suggested that last year. So we'll see if he follows.
There'll be a lot of hurricanes that he could possibly nuke.
Yeah, nuke, or he'll have, I don't know, tanks. Send a tank. He'll have some bright ideas.
Well, is it going to be better than when he developed the ability to change the route of the hurricane just by drawing a different path on the map?
Right. Yeah. Let's see, like a track. It'll follow this. Don't worry about it. Midterm elections canceled due to being super gay. I have definitely am not. It's not actually totally ridiculous, the idea that Trump would cancel either midterm or general presidential elections. That's a big step towards authoritarianism, but he is the kind of lunatic who might try to pull something like that. So
I could definitely see like a scenario in which he like muses about that, and then there is proven to be a disturbingly large number of like right-wing influencers who are willing to excuse that or justify
like green light it. Yeah.
Like in the same way that like, with the third term thing, like it's so obviously unconstitutional. And yet there are a lot of like right-wing influencers who are like, well, the Constitution's kind of vague. Like I could see that with like, suddenly we'll find all these like obscure statutes that, well, technically an election.
I mean, what is going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years, if he can manufacture some perceived like state of emergency and just like throw the National Guard in every city because of some fabricated threat, and then just invoke some like, emergency, like I have to continue being president, like FDR, you know what I mean? Like I just have to, and he just does it. and just like, what's going to happen? Either he gets forcibly deposed and assassinated, or we all just let him keep being president, or I don't know. Something really crazy could happen by the end of his term. I don't see him just like calmly leaving power. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see that happening. Unless he's dead. We'll see. Maybe he'll be dead.
I mean, I think it would be up to the military itself that swears
Right.
an oath on the Constitution, not him. So, and I think that's why he was so concerned getting out there saying, "Hey guys, I'm your boss. You swear an
Right.
oath to me." When no,
Yeah.
that's not true at all.
That's not true. Right.
I'm
But if
always
he says
curious-
it,
I'm always
becomes
curious,
true, right?
what are those generals? What are their conversations and behind closed doors?
Yeah. What percentage of high-ranking military would he have to kind of either buy off or whatever to kind of disseminate those instructions, and then what percentage of infantry would follow them? And like, it's crazy to think about, but like, I don't put it past him on trying something like that. I just think that could try that.
And it seems like Hegseth and company are thinking about this. That's why they're trying to remake the officer corps and get loyalists into all of these top jobs. So
yeah, it's the MO. Everything he does with his entire cabinet is just stacking it with loyalists and to prepare for such an event. So I don't know. That's not a 2026 prediction, but it's it could be a 2028 prediction depending on how the next 2 years go. But and then finally, I will start making music again.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Are you a good musician, David? What kind of music do you make?
So I grew up playing classical piano, and I switched to drums in college, played in drums in a bunch of bands, and kind of took a step back to grow the channel. But the stuff that I make in my project now is sort of groovy, synthy rock. I would describe it as.
Nice.
So
nice. Well, I hope you do
get back to it.
Yeah. Hey, I just recorded a song this morning, so
nice.
Hopefully inspire you. Get back.
Oh, it's called Simulated Sun. If you care at all, everyone watching, please go check out Simulated Sun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing those. Although I'm in the doghouse now with Mrs. Beat. She's my chief of staff.
She was legit offended.
Yes, she was.
Sorry.
Okay.
Which one? The BB thing?
I think a few of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I guess we just live in different worlds again.
We have kids that watch this channel. I don't know. I should have been more clear about that. But that's okay. Once you opened it up, like this is do the whole thing. Yeah.
It's a dark world we're living in, Matthew. It
is. We can't shelter the kids anymore.
Yeah.
Can you stick around for a few questions here? We got some super chats, it looks like.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. I don't know about this one though. Cultural analysis of 6-7.
I have as I get older, I start to get more inclined towards just not learning about things. Like there's some things that just seem like so stupid and so, I don't know, so youth coded that it's like, I'm not going to bother. So it's like my knowledge of 6-7 is like the world's most superficial. I just know it's a thing. And I feel like it's a thing that I've made a calculated decision to not learn about.
But also and correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows, but isn't it literally just that, a meaningless thing that young people did to be like, they're going to go crazy trying to figure this out and it doesn't actually mean anything?
Yeah, that's kind of my understanding. Yeah.
So there you go.
I've also seen kids say that it's over. So like, why bother caring about it? So
yeah.
8, 9.
Yeah, 6-7, it's so 2-5. Get over it, man.
Hey, here's a deeper question though, I think is good. Do you think humanity will ever make first contact? Do you think life might exist obviously life exists somewhere else. I think it's
not obviously,
really obvious.
Almost certainly. I mean,
Yeah. Do you think we're going to live to see first contact?
No, because that's so soon. I mean, I don't think in our lifetimes, but in the lifetime of humanity, however long that it, like, let's say humanity exists for millions of years, then yeah. But we're not. I don't think we're gonna.
Do you think we're gonna make it millions of years?
I mean, I think that, like, I wrestle with this a lot, and I think that we are at an absolutely fascinating fulcrum point in the development of humanity, where there kind of are two paths where we just kind of implode on ourselves, or we flourish and become just interstellar and incredible. And it's a bizarre time to be alive. But we could. It is physically possible that humans could continue existing for millions of years. And if we do, I think that we will eventually make contact. We could even be the ones going out to find other stuff, but Star Trek style. But we're not gonna be alive for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're right though. The emergence of artificial intelligence, I think, really is. Well, I think we'll look back on this time in particular as like, oh, that was it. Like we either screwed things up a lot or we got it right. Okay, I see here. All these are just statements here. It looks like no questions. I mean, is there any optimism for next year? Can we leave on an optimistic note, perhaps?
I'm optimistic that Trump is just going to get more unpopular. Like, I think that the trend lines seem pretty clear as far as that goes. That like, because I feel like when he was elected last year, there was this brief moment, and I'm sure you guys remember, like there was this brief moment where like, I think a lot of us in sort of the dark moments were like, oh my God, is this like America's new normal? Is this the beginning of the 1,000-year Reich or like, that kind of thing? And I think like now it's pretty clear that like Trump's administration, like odious and terrible and horrific as it's been in all sorts of ways, is also just like not a popular one.
Grossly incompetent.
Not being like greeted with a groundswell of public support, which I think is what you would need if you were really in a really dark place. So I'm excited to see his numbers continue to go down. I think that he could hit like the Bush, like low 30s in his second year in office, which I think would be a positive development.
I could see that happening. Yeah, I think we're going to see what Congress does. I mean, really, we won't know until after the midterms, though. I think a lot of the Republicans in Congress are just going to wait to see how the midterms go. But then, yeah, I think impeachment really is going to probably happen, assuming that democracy still continues.
Which big assumption.
Well, come on, optimism from Dave. What? Any silver lining for all this stuff?
I mean, I like that. I like the idea of Trump's support continuing to wane. I think that's a reasonable prediction, and I can get on board with that. Yeah.
My optimism seems to kind of look when I'm searching for optimism these days. Often I'm looking around the world, and it's sad to say, like China's doing a lot of good things with innovation, and especially with renewable energy and. Sure, the authoritarianism sucks, but I feel like the rest of the world's kind of moving, chugging ahead, and we're just kind of like we hit the pause button here in the United States.
I mean, I guess like it's producing a certain amount of unrest that if it can be like mobilized and targeted can affect change. So I'm seeing a little bit of stirrings of like, you guys, we got to do something. Like we have to like actually fight here. Give me a second.
Matthew, you should
up here, but yes,
Matthew, you should read JJ's book of the year, the one that I recommended on my channel, Breakneck, which is all about China and Chinese innovation. It's not a very long book, but it's a book that explicitly sort of contrasts America and China and talks about what America can learn from China, but also what China can learn from America. It's a very good, non-sensationalistic sort of assessment of obviously one of the great stories of our time, which is the rise of China.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendation. I'll add that to my pile of 20 books that I have yet to read, but seriously. All right, yeah, so thank you guys for doing this. This was a lot of fun, frankly. Even if a lot of these were silly, I think it's just a good exercise to do, especially, I know a lot of people are not optimistic these days, especially in the United States. A lot of people think that next year's going to be even worse than this year, which perhaps they're right.
Public health wise, it will.
Yeah. However, I think the three of us know that we're just in a dark chapter. We're always zooming out. We're always looking at the distant past, sometimes the distant future, and I think we just got to get through it. So take care of yourselves and take care of your families.
Here.
All right. We're going to sign off. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and Happy New Year and Happy New Year's Eve. And Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.